Yo, what's going on, guys? And today I want to talk about how I believe James Harden and Joel Embiid are literally Shaq and Kobe 2.0. If you go over the stats, it's basically literally Shaq and Kobe were the two leading scorers on that team, and they usually would have one or two other guys who were barely over double-digit points. And people are saying that this Sixers team doesn't have enough talent to win a championship, the people who are haters. And I know there's a lot of people who are supporting this team, and I actually am a fan of, what they're doing here. And I do believe what they are building could be the modern day version of Shaq and Kobe. And it all relies on this defense that we saw today against the Knicks, okay? Tyrese Maxey had 2 steals, okay? Then you had Matisse Thybulle, who had 3 steals, and James Harden, who had 5. Just between those guys, they had 10 steals. It's absurd. Then Joel Embiid had 4 blocks? He was just, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here. And that's what I love. Joel and James Harden are basically both going to average almost 30 points. I almost said 35, 30 points at least a game, really at least 25, but it seems like they're both going to get 30 points every night. But they're guaranteed to get 25 points every single night, James Harden, Joel Embiid, okay? And their chemistry already undeniable. And then you throw that in with Tyrese Maxey, who's now a legitimate complementary combo guard. Because the thing is Tyrese Maxey and James Harden, I mean, even though James Harden's a fantastic facilitator and ball handler, you wouldn't say James Harden, you would rather have James Harden be your shooting guard scorer. So it's great that they have 2 playmakers on the floor with, James Harden, who can drop, 16 assists, 10 rebounds, and 29 points, okay? And then you have Tyrese Maxey, who's basically dropping 20 points himself and grabbing a few steals, dropping a few assists, and being the perfect complementary player next to James Harden that I think, obviously, best complementary player since OKC, maybe? Because, I think Tyrese Maxey compliments him way better than Kyrie ever did in the backcourt. I mean, obviously, Kevin Durant was awesome. Then Tobias Harris plays this Tobias Harris is this guy who I think he's perfect. He's kind of that stretch 4. He can switch. And the best part about this roster is literally Tobias Harris, Matisse Thybulle, James Harden can all switch, basically, if they wanted to, okay? And the best part is Tyrese, Tobias, and Thybulle can switch 1 through 3, while Harris, Harden and Thybulle can switch, 2 through 4. And then you have Thybulle, Harris, and Embiid that you could hypothetically say that Embiid actually does sometimes switch onto smaller guys, and it works. This team is able to switch a lot, and it's fantastic. And the best part is that I love the bench. And this is why I think this team can be literally the Lakers that we saw 20 years ago, because they have 4 guys that come off the bench for about 22 to 24 minutes a night, and that is Georges Niang, Furkan Korkmaz, Shake Milton, and Danny Green. And it works out perfect because Georges Niang comes in for Tobias Harris, and he's not a great defender or rebounder, but he tries and he hustles to make up for it, to sometimes be, acceptable at that part. But he tries, and he's a great shooter, and he fills in that stretch 4, okay? Then you have my man, Shake Milton, who's this guy who comes in as, you could argue as their backup point guard because he's the best facilitator out of those guys. And then you have Danny Green and Furkan Korkmaz. So Green, Niang, Milton, and Korkmaz basically can all switch 1 through 4. And then you have Paul Millsap, who comes in for Embiid when he needs a break, okay? Basically for 12 minutes a night, which is very flux depending on how much. But it works out really well. I know they have Willie Cauley-Stein, and I hope he gets signed long term, so they have another 7-footer on the roster. But Paul Millsap's acceptable. He's got really long arms, a 7'1" wingspan, on a 6'9" frame. Fantastic. But yeah, I love that they have Niang, Milton, Korkmaz, and Green, because it allows them to switch, okay? Because they're all the same size. Niang's 6'8", Milton, I believe, 6'5", 6'4" at least. I think he's 6'5" or 6'6". Korkmaz is 6'7". Danny Green's 6'6". And it works out fantastic. I think this is a team that they're able to basically, okay, if Harden needs a break, we'll put in, Milton. If, Maxey or Harris needs a break, you throw in Korkmaz or Niang, okay? And if you need Thybulle to get a break, you put in, my man, who I'm about to say, Danny Green. And that's the thing is, I think it works out fantastic, and I think this is a team that it works well. And hopefully Paul Millsap continues to be able to play, and hopefully have the backup big man doesn't become a problem, because there's not many that options. But yeah, I think literally if they can play this good defense and just rely on Joel Embiid and James Harden to carry the majority of the scoring, and then have basically Tyrese Maxey or Tobias Harris basically have a good night. They can take turns having a good night. And then you have basically Thibault, Niang, Milton, Korkmaz, and Green, who will just fill out the rest of the stat sheet. And it's great as long as literally they're able to switch everything. I think this is a team that has one of the best like platoon swaps. And they still have Isaiah Joe, Paul Reed, and Jaden Springer all on the bench. Paul Reed can come in for, basically either Paul Millsap or Tobias Harris or Georges Niang if any of them got injured. Then you have Isaiah Joe who can come in for, Shake Milton, Korkmaz, Green, or Thibault if anyone gets injured, as a backup. And you also have Jaden Springer, who we haven't really seen much, but he could probably back up Milton, Maxey, and Harden. So I think this is a good team. I want your thoughts down below if you guys agree with me, but that just fell. I hope you guys do agree with me, but peace out.